Welcome Matters With. I'm your host, ThisPhillipBrian. Today, we're here to discuss Trek Matters with you. Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, Season 2, Episode 8, Under the Cloak of War. You may notice, if you've watched me before, I'm not in my usual place. Well, today I am visiting one of my favorite places in the Sol system. That's one of the dorkiest comments I've ever made, but it's also true. I'm in Eureka Springs. But that's not why we're here. We're here to discuss Under the Cloak of War. Last week's episode may have been one of the lightest episodes Star Trek has ever done. It was so much fun. This week, it's one of the darkest. Not the darkest, but one of the darkest. It is primarily an Mbenga episode, although Nurse Chapel and Lieutenant Ortegas have plenty to do as well. The Enterprise is hosting a dignitary. The dignitary is a Klingon. We are, in Star Trek, we are approximately 36-ish years, 35-ish, 36 years before the Khitomer Accords, where Captain Spock volunteers Captain Kirk and the Enterprise to make peace with the Klingons?
We volunteered.
We're a long time before that. And having a Klingon dignitary on the Enterprise so soon after the Klingon War causes a lot of emotional trauma for many members of the crew. Ortegas and Chapel and Dr. Mbenga especially. And we get a lot of his backstory. In the original series, we see Mbenga very little, and we're told he's a brilliant doctor who specializes in Vulcans. Strange New Worlds has developed a lot of his backstory, and here we get to see a lot of his role in the Klingon War. This is a dark, tense drama episode with fantastic performances. Babs he does his best work in this episode. I was very impressed. It's such a contrast to last week, and it's also such a contrast to what we're going to get next week. This Klingon dignitary may not be all that he seems, and Dr. Mbenga may not be all that he seems. I'm glad we are getting backstories on some of these characters, and not just Spock and Uhura, but also smaller characters like Chapel and Mbenga that we knew in the original series, but they had a really far back seat to many of the other characters. This is one of the reasons I love Star Trek Strange New Worlds. This episode, I'm going to give it an A-. It's extremely good. There's only one minor flaw with the ending that doesn't quite work. When the camera's panned away and there's a struggle, but that scene doesn't quite work. If it hadn't been for that one flaw, this would be an absolute A. But as it is, it's an A-. The acting is good. The drama is tense. It moves along at the beginning a bit slow, and it's a bit of a struggle. However, when it ratchets up the emotion, it does so well. It elevates from what may have been a B- episode all the way up to an A, makes a minor slip, slips into an A-. However, I would still regard this as something I would highly recommend for any Trek fan. And again, this series may be a great introductory for anyone who hasn't been a lifelong Trek fan. This is a great place to come into this franchise, is Star Trek Strange New Worlds. What did you think of Season 2, Episode 8, Under the Cloak of War? We'll talk soon.